You know, I almost didn't make this video. I sat down in front of this little camera my great-granddaughter set up for me, and I thought, who in the world is going to listen to a 105-year-old woman talk about her kidneys? And then I thought, well, maybe that's exactly why they should. Because I'm still here, I'm still sharp, I still cook my own meals, tend my little herb garden out back, and sleep through the night without dragging myself to the bathroom 4 or 5 times like I used to. And I haven't lived in a nursing home. I don't have children hovering over me, checking if I've taken my pills. I live in my own home, in my own way, on my own terms. And if even one person watching this gets to feel what I feel, that deep, quiet confidence of waking up in the morning and knowing your body is still working with you, not against you, then sitting in front of this camera is the best thing I've done all week. So pull up a chair, let me talk to you the way I'd talk to a dear friend, because that's what this is. That's what you are to me, even if we've never met. My name is Nancy Jane. I was born in 1919 in a small town in rural Tennessee. I have outlived 2 husbands, a sister, most of my childhood friends, and 3 of my doctors. I say that not to brag, but because I think it matters that you know I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot. And I'm not standing here, well, sitting here, telling you life has been easy. It hasn't. But I am telling you that I've found something that works. And it started, of all places, in my kitchen. Now, before I get into all of that, let me tell you where I was about 15 years ago, because the contrast is what I think will mean something to you. I was 90 years old, and I was miserable at night. Every single night I would wake up at least 4 times to use the bathroom, sometimes 5. I'd barely get back to sleep before I'd feel that pressure again and have to get up in the dark and shuffle to the bathroom, hoping I didn't trip over anything. My ankles were puffy by evening. My legs felt heavy. I was tired all day because I never got real rest at night. My lower back ached with this dull, persistent soreness that just lived there like an unwelcome house guest who never leaves. I went to my doctor, a kind young man who meant well, and he told me this was just part of getting older. He said nocturia, that's the medical word for waking up to urinate at night, was common in older adults. He talked about my kidneys working harder, about fluid retention, about how things slow down as we age. And I sat there in that office and I thought, I refuse to accept that. I am not someone who accepts this is just how it is very easily, never have been. My mother used to say I came out of the womb already arguing. So I went home, and instead of resigning myself to sleepless nights and swollen ankles for the rest of my life, I started paying very close attention to what I was eating. I'd always been a decent cook. Depression-era upbringing will do that for you. You learn to make something from nothing, and you learn that real food, whole food, food that comes from the earth, has a power that nothing in a box or a can can match. But I'd gotten lazy over the years. Convenient things had crept into my kitchen. I was eating more processed food than I should have, more salt than my kidneys could handle gracefully, and not nearly enough of the things that I now know my body was desperately asking for. So I started making changes, slow, deliberate, consistent changes, not a crash diet, not some program I read about in a magazine, just a return to the kind of eating I grew up with, guided by what I was learning about what the kidneys actually need to do their job well. And within about 3 months, something remarkable happened. I started sleeping through the night. Not every night at first, but more nights than not. And then most nights. And then after about 6 months, I realized I was waking up once at most, sometimes not at all. My ankles were no longer swollen by evening. The heaviness in my legs had lifted. My lower back still reminded me I was 90, but that deep aching had softened considerably, and I had energy, real energy, in the mornings that I hadn't felt in years. I'm going to tell you exactly what I changed, because I believe you deserve to know, and I believe it might change things for you the way it changed things for me. The first thing I changed was beans. Now I know that sounds almost insultingly simple. Beans. You've been eating beans your whole life maybe, but let me tell you something. There's a right way and a wrong way to eat beans if you're trying to support your kidneys, and most people do it the wrong way without even knowing. I grew up eating beans regularly, but somewhere along the way I'd moved away from them. I was eating more meat, more rich foods, more things that put a burden on my kidneys without giving them anything useful in return. When I brought beans back into my diet, seriously 4 or 5 times a week, things started shifting. Here's what I came to understand. Your kidneys are filtering your blood every single minute of every single day. They never get a day off. They never call in sick. They just work constantly, trying to keep your blood clean and your minerals balanced. And when you eat foods that are high in animal protein, high in salt, high in processed ingredients, you're essentially handing your kidneys a pile of dirty laundry every hour and expecting them to keep up. After a while, they can't. Beans are different. The fiber in beans, and there's a lot of it, works like a good sweeping in your digestive system. It binds to toxins before they even get into your bloodstream, which means your kidneys have less to filter in the first place. That is a gift. That is you making your kidneys' job easier instead of harder. The potassium in beans is present, yes, but the body absorbs it differently than the potassium in animal products. So you get the benefit of potassium, which helps regulate blood pressure and fluid balance, both critically important for kidney health, without overwhelming your kidneys with too much at once. I eat black beans. I eat kidney beans, which I've always thought were appropriately named. I eat lentils, which cook fast and go into almost anything. I make bean soup. I put beans in salads. I mash them with a little olive oil and garlic as a side dish. Simple, inexpensive, and after 15 years of eating them consistently, I am thoroughly convinced they are part of why my kidneys are still doing their job at 105. The second change I made was adding tofu. Now, I grew up in Tennessee. Tofu was not a word I knew until I was well into my 60s. When my granddaughter first suggested it, I looked at her like she'd lost her mind. But I was desperate for better sleep, and I was willing to try things I'd never tried before. I started with firm tofu, pan-fried in a little olive oil with garlic and herbs. And I'll be honest, it took a few tries before I really loved it. But once I learned how to cook it properly, I came to genuinely enjoy it. What tofu does for your kidneys is remarkable when you understand the science. Most protein sources, especially animal proteins, create something called urea when they're broken down in your body. Your kidneys have to filter urea out of your blood and send it out through your urine. That's normal and fine in moderate amounts. But when you eat large amounts of animal protein day after day, the volume of urea your kidneys have to process is enormous. Over decades, that consistent overload contributes to kidney damage. Plant-based protein, like the protein in tofu, creates significantly less urea, so your kidneys process it much more easily. The same amount of protein, doing all the same jobs, building muscle, repairing cells, supporting your immune system, but with a fraction of the strain on your kidneys. For someone my age, that difference is not small. It is everything. Tofu is also low in phosphorus, potassium, and sodium in the amounts your body absorbs, which makes it genuinely safe for kidneys in a way that a lot of protein sources simply aren't. I have it 2 or 3 times a week now, and I would not go back to my old ways of eating for anything. The third food that changed my life was something as ordinary as an apple. Every single morning without fail, I eat an apple, have done for the last 15 years, and I believe with my whole heart that this simple habit has contributed more to my kidney health than almost anything else. Here's what most people don't realize about apples. They are one of the only sweet, satisfying foods that is genuinely low in the 3 minerals that kidneys struggle with most: potassium, phosphorus, and sodium. For people who need to watch those levels, finding something sweet that doesn't compromise kidney function is rare and precious. But beyond the mineral profile, apples are full of something called quercetin, a flavonoid antioxidant that has remarkable anti-inflammatory properties. Chronic inflammation is, according to everything I've read and every doctor I've spoken with, one of the primary drivers of kidney disease. The kidneys get inflamed, and inflamed kidneys cannot filter efficiently. They hold on to fluid. They struggle to process waste. And when they hold on to fluid, you get the swelling, the heaviness in the legs, the frequent bathroom trips at night, all the things I used to suffer from. Apples push back against that inflammation, quietly, consistently, every single day. They don't announce themselves. They don't taste like medicine. They just taste like an apple, and they do their work faithfully. I eat mine in the morning, usually with a small amount of plain yogurt, which brings me to the 4th thing I changed. Yogurt became a daily ritual for me, and I want to explain why it matters so much. I specifically eat plain yogurt, not the sweetened, flavored varieties that are essentially dessert in disguise. Plain yogurt or Greek yogurt when I want something thicker and higher in protein. Every morning with my apple, sometimes in the afternoon with a little drizzle of honey. The probiotics in yogurt, the live beneficial bacteria, support your gut health in ways that directly benefit your kidneys. This surprised me when I first learned it, because we don't usually think of the gut and the kidneys as being connected, but they are, profoundly. When your gut bacteria are balanced and healthy, they help break down waste products before those waste products reach your bloodstream. A healthy gut microbiome can actually convert certain toxins into harmless compounds right there in your digestive system before your kidneys ever have to deal with them. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, which happens from poor diet, stress, antibiotics, and many other factors, more of those toxins make it into your blood, and your kidneys bear the entire burden. By eating yogurt every day, I have been supporting my gut health for 15 years. And I believe my kidneys have been quietly grateful for every single serving. The calcium and B12 in yogurt support bone density and energy, which matter enormously when you're my age. Staying strong, staying energetic, staying mentally clear, these aren't separate from kidney health. They're all connected. Your body is one system, and when you care for one part of it thoughtfully, the benefits spread throughout. Now, I want to stop talking about food for a moment because I think there's something else that has kept me healthy, and it doesn't come in any grocery store. I believe in something larger than myself. I always have. I was raised in a faith tradition that taught me that honesty matters, that the way you treat other people comes back to you, and that your life is not just about you. I have held on to that my entire life, through grief and loss and hardship, and I believe it has sustained me in ways that food alone never could. There is real science behind this now. Research on longevity, and I've been the subject of a few studies myself, which I find both flattering and faintly ridiculous, consistently shows that people who have strong social connections, a sense of purpose, and spiritual or community grounding live longer and healthier lives, not marginally longer, significantly longer. I think about why that might be, and I think it comes down to this. When you believe your life has meaning, When you believe your actions affect others and that living rightly matters, you carry yourself differently. You don't give up as easily. You don't sink into bitterness or isolation. You stay curious about the world and invested in the people around you. I have a purpose every single day. I call someone who needs a phone call. I write a letter, an actual handwritten letter, to someone who might be lonely. I share what I know with anyone who wants to hear it. I help my neighbor's granddaughter with her homework when she comes by. I am needed. I am useful. And I think that sense of being needed and useful is, in ways science is still working to fully understand, extraordinarily good for your physical body. When you help someone else, something happens in your brain. Stress hormones decrease, feel-good chemicals increase, your immune system gets a quiet boost, inflammation goes down, and your kidneys, which suffer greatly under chronic stress, get a small reprieve every single time. I am not asking you to become someone you're not. I am not asking you to volunteer 12 hours a week or change your entire life. I'm asking you to think about one person who might need a kind word from you today, one phone call you've been putting off, one neighbor you haven't checked on in a while, because that act of reaching out, that small, simple gesture of thinking beyond yourself, does something for your health that no supplement can replicate. If you're lying awake at night making trip after trip to the bathroom, feeling like your body is failing you, I want you to hear this from someone who has been exactly where you are. Your body wants to heal. It is designed to heal, given the right support. And that support does not require expensive treatments or complicated protocols. It requires beans and tofu and apples and plain yogurt and a genuine investment in the people and the world around you. You are not too old to change. I started making these changes at 90 years old, at 90, and I am sitting here at 105, sleeping through the night, living independently, cooking my own meals, writing letters to people I love, and recording videos that I hope reach someone who needs them. I want that for you. I want you to wake up tomorrow morning feeling like your body is your partner rather than your obstacle. I want you to spend your evenings in peace rather than in anxiety. I want you to live in your own home on your own terms for as long as you possibly can, and I believe you can. Start with the food. Make the changes slowly, but make them deliberately and keep making them. Be consistent. Don't expect miracles in 3 days. Give it 3 months. Give it 6 months. Give your kidneys time to recover because they can. They are remarkably resilient organs and they respond to kindness. Then reach out to someone today, not because it will help your kidneys, although it will, but because someone out there needs to hear your voice. Someone out there is lonely and would give anything for a phone call from you. Someone out there is struggling with exactly what you've been struggling with, and your story, your experience, your willingness to say, I was suffering and then I changed and here's what happened, could be the thing that changes everything for them. That is purpose, that is meaning, and I am convinced after 105 years of living that meaning is the most powerful medicine there is. My name is Nancy Jane. I was born in 1919, and I am still here, still fighting, still learning, still giving, and I intend to stick around a little while longer. Take care of your kidneys, friends. Take care of your gut. Eat your beans, eat your tofu, eat your apple in the morning, have your yogurt, drink your water, sleep in peace, and take care of each other. That's everything. That is truly all of it. God bless you. I mean that with my whole heart. If this story meant something to you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment below and tell me your name and where you're watching from. I read every single one. And if you're willing, tell me one person you're going to reach out to today. because that comment might be the thing that reminds someone else to make that call. We are all in this together, friends, every single one of us.